Dark Souls 2 is probably my favorite Dark Souls for build creation. It has so many weapons, and 90% of them I'd say are viable to endgame, and even taking them into the DLCs, and they possess some of the strongest bosses in the game. But what if we didn't use any weapons? What if we made a build out of just our hands? Well, that's what we're going to do. To start our boxing career, we need to get some early game loot. Arriving in Majula, we do the usual, grab the Estus Shard, obtain the Estus Flask, and join the Covenant of Champions. We need a fair bit of souls, and the best way to get some early on is to embrace your inner low-tier god and have the Dragon Rider throw himself off a cliff. At the top of the tower, show the scammer the seafloor, and do it all again. Now that we are the richest in Majula, spend some of that newfound wealth on the cat ring and some vigor and strength. Lastly, run to the Forest of Fallen Giants and into the Ballista Room's basement to pick up the life ring. Grab some life gems from the hag and head back to Majula. In Majula, equip your 2 rings if you haven't already, and ready your life gems, because we're going splunking.
You called?
No, not you.
Aww.
Fall down the rafters, picking up the items along the way, mainly this Pharaoh's Lockstone, and make your way to... Nope, I went too far down. Make your way down again and go into the Grave of Saints. Before continuing, quit out and make sure you're on offline mode. Go through the grave like you'd be going to the boss, but right before the bonfire, use the Pharaoh's Lockstone to lower this bridge. Roy the Explorer should have spawned, and what we're going to do is try and lead him onto the bridge and knock him off. Heavy emphasis on try. Once you somehow manage to knock him off, you'll be awarded an Allstone. Now, just do that, 49 more times. Hi, scriptwriter Aurora here. Now, I made a mistake in this run, pretty badly. Roy doesn't infinitely respawn unless you're on New Game +1, so you need to use a bonfire aesthetic on the first bonfire in the Grave of Saints. I, however, forgot about this and used the bonfire aesthetic on the Dragon Rider instead. So, if you're actually going to do this run, use the souls from him to buy the cat ring and then use his soul consumable to level up health. I am going to continue rolling with this character, but as repentance, I'll make sure to get rid of the souls from the last giant and pursuer to make up for this fall. Anyway, back to the video. Once you have all 50, head back to the Covenant of Champions stone and prepare to offer each Allstone one by one. Yay! I won't even lie, I use Cheat Engine to speed this shit up, it takes too long. But in reward, you'll get both the first Dragon Crest ring as well as the Vanquisher's Seal, which makes unarmed attacks do more damage. It's a over 200 damage buff. Go back to the Cardinal Bonfire and ready your fists. You can power stance if you would like. And now you're able to 2-shot basic hollow soldiers, and as long as you keep upgrading your strength, this would be enough to beat the game. But we can make this stronger. Much stronger. We obliterate the thematically last giant in about 15 seconds. Make your way to the pursuer, and you got a bit something there. I'm sure it's fine. We use the Fist Ballista, like always, to kill the pursuer, and we get the Ring of Blades, which does, in fact, buff the fists. I hold up my end of the deal, don't worry, and I got rid of the souls from both the bosses. Our next step of the plan involves going back into the Grave of Saints, or you could just skip it and go straight to the gutter, but nah, I'm not doing that. So go lube up your fists with the best rat poison you have, and get to punching. Luckily, the bonfire aesthetic doesn't increase the boss's health, so you don't need to worry about that. They still hurt a lot, so just try and attack just one at a time, and you should be good. Okay, you know what, never mind, I got humbled by rats, so I'll be back. God, this is pathetic. Okay, so let's just head straight down to the hole in Majula. Okay, it's just one of these days, isn't it? Yep, just keep them coming. Okay, made it back. Let's just rest at the bonfire. Okay, we made it to the gutter, and I'm still somewhat sane. Yay! Oh god. Once we're at the first bonfire in the gutter, it's a very quick run into the gulch, and same to get to the rotten. The rotten is very easy, especially when you realize you should just leave the Covenant of Champions to make sure you're not losing your mind. Just make sure you leave enough stamina to roll 1 or 2 times, and time your rolls, you're good to go. Use the souls you got from the run to get more ADP, strength, and health. We have some business to finish up here. From the secret bonfire, head backwards and fall down to where the giants reside. Best way to deal with them is hit and run tactics, and you can hide in one of the 2 rooms or outside if you need to heal. Once the 2 giants are defeated, we get the Forgotten Key, and one last trip down the Majula hole lets us pick up the Dragon Talon. All we're doing here is running through the DLC, grabbing the secret bonfire here on the left, head into the Sanctum, and play a ring around the Sanctum soldiers, drop down, and grab Flynn's ring. This adds about a 50 damage AR boost to our fists on top of the Ring of Blades. With your newfound strength, go back to the Grave of Saints and show those bastard rats who they're messing with. After finishing that up, we can go get our second to last major add-on to the run. Go to the Forest of Fallen Giants and perform this little skip to get a free Fragrant Branch of Yore. With it, we can access the Shaded Woods, but more importantly, outside of Aldia's Gate, we can pick up the Red Tearstone Ring. If you want to make use of the Red Tearstone Ring, you can head back into Shulva and grind for the Sanctum Mace to proc poison on yourself, and then heal it with green moss clumps. Head through the Shaded Woods, making sure to grab the bonfire for later. You can kill Tark for the second Dragon Crest ring if you feel so inclined, and take on Najka. Our damage is more than enough, just strafe backwards when she attacks and move back into attack once or twice. Repeat this and she goes down. We can skip the Doors of Ferris for now because no one wants to fight the boss of this area, and just, yeah, he sucks. I don't want to do it, and you don't want to see me do it right now. Go through the top of the campsite and murder some of the blue-collar workers in your way. We pulverize Jim Jones and his followers and make it through to Brightstone Cove, Tesseldora. Even though we just made it here, I'm gonna put a pin in it so we can get the last item we need for this build, the Engraved gauntlets. These are hands down the best gauntlets in the game, but it requires us to complete the questline between Crichton and Not Patches. First, we head back to the Forest of Fallen Giants once more, and make sure to do the little trap room to get the small white side stone. Next up is freeing Crichton. Use the Scammer's Key to open up the path to the cops. We make very short work of the enemies here, so just go ahead and continue on up until Merciless Rowena invades, and free our favorite little serial murderer. Aww, he's so cute. Go ahead and continue through the cops and into the Skeleton Lords fight. Your fists are just like maces, so easily clean out the Skeleton Lords and their summons. Inside Earthen Peak, we can rush into Java's room and, well, punch him. A lot. Kinda can't make this part interesting here. Sorry. The next part of Earthen Peak is easy to clear, as long as you just take it slow and don't roll off the edge. Make a detour from the ladder and we can find Not Patches in his next location. Get the treasure he mentioned and exhaust his dialogue to finish his half of the quest up. The only thing left to do here is fight Mytha, and to show off a little, I totally left the poison and didn't forget and want to go back and burn the windmill. Strafe around and to the side and get a few attacks in here and there. Even with her regen, we still outdamage her by a ton, and she goes down very quickly. We go back to the Shaded Woods to talk with Crichton for the last time, and once all 4 encounters are dealt with, we can head back to Brightstone Cove and choose a side. Either Not Patches or Crichton, the best NPC in this game. With the winner unbiasedly decided, we get the key to the little treasure room and get the Engraved gauntlets, which have a small percentage chance to deal critical damage on hit. With our upgrades pretty much done for the run, I head back to Iron Keep. The Alon Knights die in about 2 hits, so take your time dealing with them one at a time, or just don't listen to me and follow gameplay Aurora and just rush to the fog because I don't know anything apparently. Smelter Demon gets easier the more runs I do. That's kind of how this game works, but you know. Yeah. Either strafe to your right or dodge through his blade. When he starts to turn up the heat, pop a life gem or 2 and negate the fire effects, and just continue to punch his kneecaps. After grabbing the second bonfire, make sure to head back into the Smelter Demon's boss room to fight the next pursuer. Killing him gets the Ring of Blades +1, which is a direct upgrade to the base Ring of Blades. In the second half of Iron Keep, it's more of the same. Just deal with the Alon Knights one at a time and you'll make it to the bonfire in no time at all. The Old Iron King is one of the easiest bosses here. Best thing to do in this fight is right after walking through the fog, go left and drag the Iron King as far away from the safe spot as you can. Now wait in the safe spot for one of 2 attacks, the laser or fist slam. If he does one, go slap him around and repeat until success. And that's our second Lord Soul boss down. Wanting to not face my phobia of spiders, I go into the wharf to make progress on fighting the Lost Sinner. You shouldn't have to worry here, you 1 or 2 shot all the enemies here. If you are using RTSR, go ahead and buy some moss here to set it up with the Sanctum Mace. If not, just go through and fight the Flexile Sentry. I go ahead and proc RTSR, and then just lose it twice. I set it up successfully in the actual fight, and the Flexile Sentry goes down really easy. Arriving in the Lost Bastille, I realize I never grabbed the needed key, so I gotta do more backtracking. Yay! Well, since we're already here on the other side, I might as well go ahead and do the Ruin Sentinels. I'm actually kind of bad at this fight, so I use this opportunity to practice it with RTSR. It doesn't go as well at first, or the 3rd and 4th try, but we are able to kill the first one relatively fast, but I just kind of fumble. I give it a few more attempts, and eventually I get it down. Just be better than me. Again, since we're already here, we might as well tackle the Gargs. The Gargs aren't the hardest, but I do struggle. The best thing to do is circle behind one, punch, and then circle to the next one. Do this 6 times each for each gargoyle, and you'll be done shortly. Lastly, the Lost Sinner is up next, and since we got the key, we head back down the original path we were taking and into Sinner's Rise, across the prison room and up to the fog. I sometimes struggle against the Lost Sinner, but like with the Ruin Sentinels, I proc RTSR so I can practice against her. The best thing to do is roll into her sword and strafe behind her. After she jumps away, I tend not to run up to her because I don't want her to do the thrusting attack, which usually ends up clipping me as I roll. But she goes down first try, and that's our 3rd Lord down. Finally, we head back to Brightstone Cove and face off with the Duke's Dear Freya. I decide not to use RTSR here due to her notoriously bad hitboxes, and instead go for the one-handed torch setup. It still does insane damage, and by strafing to each head after she attacks, it doesn't take too long until she goes down. With all 4 Lord Souls casually in our back pocket, we can waltz our way into the front steps of Dringlae Castle and brawl with the guards for access onto the inside. It's a pretty quick sprint throughout the castle, break apart the stone guards, grab the DLC key, and get outside. RTSR isn't even needed for the Twin Dragon Riders. They just are so squishy, even without the ring, you could demolish them. Lower the elevator, grab the key, beat up some horses, and take on my reflection. Looking Glass Knight isn't very hard once you kinda get the hang of him. Our lack of range is actually good in this fight, as we can kind of just plant ourselves behind his shield and smack away when he's idling. Like the rest of the bosses, we can kind of just roll through his attacks, and for his projectile attacks with his lightning, just kind of get behind him or roll through it. And soon enough, he gets knocked out and he goes down. Up next is everyone's favorite area, Shrine of Amana. Whoa, yeah, I love you! No, while it gets a lot of hate, it's no match for our fists in this playthrough. Or any playthrough if you know what to do. This is an area where you have to take your time and observe. When the Milfinitos are singing, these aberrations are stunned and don't move unless provoked. However, getting close to the Milfinito's house causes her to stop singing and they will aggro. For the Drake Keepers, you can easily bait them out one at a time in the first section. They take about 3 punches to go down, and unfortunately, they don't stagger. But even with weak armor like I have on, you can comfortably trade blows with them. This second section is the most notorious for its tracking magic and enemy spam, which I say is bullshit. You can easily move up from caster to caster, taking them out, and use the terrain and buildings to take cover and heal up. You should be able to strike the magic even in the water while just walking. It's not that hard. I think most of the issues people have in this area is due to them rushing. After the first group of mages, do the same thing with the Drake Keepers like you did in the first section and you'll do fine. These last two seem to chain pull, but bait attacks from one of them out and kind of dance around them waiting for an opening. Again, patience is key here. But I believe in you. You got this. Now for the third section. Just take a nice deep breath and run. Stick to the left and run. Don't look behind you. Run. Demon of Song is a kind little fellow. He's also super exploitable. Stick in front of his mouth, and when he decides to attack, back away and wait for the first 2 fist slams. Wait a second before moving in to avoid a follow-up attack, and do a few attacks of your own and repeat. I was able to take about 1/4 of his health down each time, so I was able to take him down in basically 4 cycles. He should go down very quickly. As we inch closer to Vendrick's tomb, we deal with some of the enemies here and there, but the crypt is pretty much just a run-through with all the mages and whatnot. Obligatory Minesweeper joke here, words to fill the void here, and okay, we're at Velstadt. He's one tough boss to beat. Literally, he has some high defenses and gets stronger in phase 2, but come on now, you've read the title, it's not going to be a huge roadblock. You can really take advantage of him in his phase 2 transition, and bait out the blast attack as well to get some free damage into him. This will usually let you end the fight with him extremely quickly. Afterwards, pick up the King's Ring, and we are ready for the endgame. Aldia's Keep and the Dragonary / Shrine were actually so boring, I'm just going to put up some Dokkan gameplay on the screen so you'll keep paying attention. We show the best swordsman in Mira why fists are better than swords and rush through the hall, making sure to grab the secret bonfire just in case. The Guardian Dragon is just like every other boss, just attack one leg and strafe to the other. In the area, grab the feather, zipline across, and get jump scared by Smaldia. Lastly, fight the Drake Keepers and the Dragon Soldier, and somehow get the Ashen Mist Heart. See, that wasn't so bad. Oh god, no, not this giant memories. Back to the Dokkan gameplay. In the forest, we can enter all the Giant's memories, and at the end of them, we find more Giant Souls. For the Giant Lord himself, all we really need to do is punch his ankles and dance around his blade as he goes down. Okay, go away now, Dokkan, the run's interesting again. With the Giant Skinship and 4 of the 5 Dragon Souls, we can head into the Crypt once more to slay Vendrick for the Aldia fight later. He is actually not all that interesting, just stick to his left leg and circle behind him. Not that hard, just incredibly drawn out. The final boss rush begins. Open the final King's Gate and begin the long run to the throne. If you're new here, first off, thank you for watching this far. But second, you'll know I hate the throne duo, so I kind of have to go all out. Brightbug at all. You really have to be patient here. Bait out one of them at a time and attack only when it's safe. When one's low, focus on the other. If both are low, you can kill one and wait for the other one to just revive and take them out as well. It's sloppy, but it works. Nishandra is, well, Nishandra. Just watch out for her curse orbs, but you can mainly stick to her and dodge the scythe. And all the, well... Now, I kinda lied earlier, saying we were done with the upgrades we could get. After defeating Aldia, if you choose to use a bonfire aesthetic here on the King's Gate bonfire, you can get the double pursuer fight to spawn in the throne room behind Wellinger. Now, this fight is pretty difficult. The normal pursuer strats don't work here as well. But, if you can tough it out, you get the Ring of Blades +2, which gives you an additional 50 AR, which is just like having a second Flynn's ring. Now, if you're struggling, there is a bit of a cheese here we can do. By walking out of the throne room and walking back in, you can sometimes trigger one to despawn. This allows you to fight just one, and if you defeat him, he's gone for good. Then you can come back and fight the second one for a much easier Ring of Blades +2. Before we tackle the DLCs, let's go ahead and finish off the few straggling bosses we have to face off with. The Executioner's Chariot is up first, and the toughest part here is the run there. Inside the arena, just kill the Necromancers and then punch the horse until it falls apart. Next is the Old Dragon Slayer, and due to my mistake early on, I have to run there on New Game Plus. So that's really gonna suck. And it did, actually. It did suck. I hated it. The fight itself on New Game Plus isn't special. He still does little damage, and we pretty much just punch his health bar into oblivion, so that's pretty nice to see. Next is the rat, or dog, or whatever the fuck this is anyway. I hate this fight. The rat's toxic you, and the dog rat thing constantly spams like 1 to 3 attacks, so it's really, really fun! Either way, stick under it and punch its paws, and eventually it'll go down. Thankfully. The next two bosses are some of the worst, the Dark Lurker and Ancient Dragon. First, Dark Lurker is locked behind a lengthy quest line and a bunch of infinite stamina enemies. And then, after getting through all that, now we have to deal with a spell-spamming boss that can duplicate. Now, I am making her seem worse than she is, but I really, really don't like this fight. I despise her, actually. After fighting her multiple times for these videos, I've learned how to deal with her really well. I still don't like her. Ancient Dragons, oh god, the Dokkan footage is back. Just stay at her back feet and slap away, and run to the tail when she flies up. It takes a minute, a couple minutes actually, but it's not too bad. The best tip I can give you here is that if you get hit by the fire, just stay down. Don't get up until your character gets up automatically. Don't roll or you'll end up getting hit again. With her down, we now have finished the base game, and all that's left is the 3 DLCs. So let's jump right in with Brume Tower. You can speed through most of this DLC with just the cat ring and some decent platforming skills. For the first level room, we can just punch this guy and walk along the wall here. Abuse the cat ring and life gem some more as you fall down, and then you can get down to the second level room. Now, I thought that this was always RNG, but thanks to Splunker, I found out you can just exit the game, and you gain iframes as you pull the lever. It's brilliant and kinda bullshit, but bullshit in my favor, so I don't actually care all that much. In the foyer, we can head down to the third level room. Here, we can bully a few fume sorceresses, god that's hard to say, and then rush for the lever. You might get hit, but you should have enough health at this point to just tank it. Walk across the chain, show Rachel the fiery inferno, and grab the scepter. Before heading into the last lever room, we can head down and make a detour to pick up the key for the blue smelter later. We two-shot the soldiers here in this lever room, so it's a breeze to get down to the bottom, and once again we use the quit out strat to safely open up the door. Fume Knight is statistically the hardest boss, but once you know how to deal with him and his quirks, he's a lot more tolerable. I won't say he is necessarily easy, because he is still difficult for not only me sometimes, but a lot of other people too. Always know he can throw out 4-hit combos, so don't attack until he's withdrawing his sword. You can always strafe thrusts and roll through his slashes. You can abuse the jump and AoE to heal or maximize damage. Take your time and don't give up. I know you got this. Iron Passage plus Blue Smelter isn't as bad as people say it is. Not only is the run there not too bad, but the Blue Smelter, while difficult, not the worst boss here. He tends to delay some of his attacks and gains an AoE after his first buff, but really just play it like the normal Smelter. Roll through his attacks and straight to the right, punish the jump and overhead slam, as well as his first 2 buffs. If you're struggling, that's okay too. Have patience and learn where you made a mistake. And if all else fails, say it's rigged and it's the game's fault, because 90% of the time it is. Sir Alan is a boss I still struggle with on occasion. Delayed attacks, poor depth perception, and the fact I brought my fist to a comically large knife fight. The main thing to remember is roll to the left like 90% of the time. This fight is just a tougher version of the Lost Sinner in all reality. Since I still struggle here, I ended up using one of my bright bugs, and it's enough of a boost for me to take him down. And with that, the first DLC is down. Alan Lois is my least favorite Dark Souls 2 DLC, but it's still better than this heap of garbage, so it's still peak regardless. I don't have all that much to say about it. It's mostly me just running through this DLC to get the Priestess's Eye to fight Ava. Like every other fight in this game, the main key is to roll through her attacks. When she goes in to do a projectile, you can go behind her for free damage. Use the AoEs to heal, and that's really all there is to it. This fight is pretty simple. With Ava down, Solana, or however you pronounce her name, Alisana, whatever, sure, unlocks the rest of the DLC for us, and we can go get the knight. Oh no, the Dokkan footage! I'll just skip right to the fight. It's fine. Ivory King just dodged through. Okay, how do I make this more interesting? Ivory King, or the Spam King, as I will now be calling him, only wanted to do like 3 attacks. Either a thrust, jump, or dash, and that was 99% of his attacks. And due to my poor range, I ended up missing a lot of attack opportunities. It's not all bad though. I mean, we get him down for... Okay. I'm gonna take that one personally. Alright, that's much better. Before doing our obligatory victory lap, we just have one more thing to do in this DLC, and that's the dreaded Frozen Outskirts. Backtrack once more, just before the second bonfire, and light up the 4 scones for entry into the secret cave. Grab the key, open up the last bonfire, and take the roller coaster down to the Frozen Outskirts. Here we make the obligatory joke that I do this area fully legit without cheating, and outside the fog, I go all out and prop a Brightbug. With the Brightbug, this shoots our damage way up, allowing us to defeat the Tigers one-on-one, saving myself from a hectic 1v2 fight. I was even able to kill Zalin before he fully got his buff off, which is insane. I don't think I've ever done that before. So, since Shulva's a victory lap, I'm going to just come in here unscripted and yap. So, if you don't want to hear that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, but if you do want to hear me out for a second, stick around. This run was really fun, kind of the title of the video. It wasn't like a hard challenge run, it wasn't a challenge at all, it was just me kind of wanting to mess around with making a really strong build with fist only. It wasn't even the strongest I could have made it either. If I specced into Faith, I could have also used Sacred Oath for the damage buff there. So it wasn't even fully, it wasn't full potential, but it was still, you know, still good. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing next because I don't really have anything ready to go. So I kind of have to do a run soon. I have some projects I do want to work on. I'm waiting to hear back from someone to see if they want to work on it together. And if not, then that'll be coming out soon. And then just some other things. I do want to release a new Petrus percent video. It was originally supposed to be for my 1 year, but I kind of missed that, so I won't be doing it for my 1 year. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. This was a really fun run. I don't really know what's going to happen next. But hopefully things will happen. I know this one took a little bit longer to get out. I've been kind of trying some new things out with the way I structure it. So, you know, it's taking a little bit of adjustment time. So, but thank you for watching this far. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!